So I just kind of need to talk through something at this moment while these frogs are serenading me. And that is that when I got back from my paradise trip, I told you before I left, I had wanted to leave and throw a bomb behind me and say that that was it. Say that, you know, it wasn't that. I was just going to start over. When I got back here, though, I began looking around at all of my messes. You know, I mean, this is my garden. I don't know if you can see it. It's not, you know, the greatest. It's a work in progress. Those are all my projects from bygone years. You know, especially since I've been sick. This garden I started doing so many things to this garden 4 years ago. And it was becoming a really amazing thing. And this last year, an even more amazing thing happened. And I started following the principles of permaculture and really looking into that. And I started creating what's his name? Gosh, I can't remember. Paul Wheaton, out of Missoula, Montana. He was talking about creating hugelkultur beds. And I couldn't quite figure out the concept, so I did the best I could. I dug a bunch of trenches and laid a whole bunch of sticks in. And, well, it's kind of dark, but you see that was kind of the result. And I just kept adding to it, realizing it was going to decompose. And just keep creating these trenches that would hold in water. And 4 years later, I mean, because I forgot about it, because, you know, I went to church, I was asked to go to church. And I was, after I left church, and it was feeling really bad, I started actually repairing things with my daughter. And previous to going to church, I started doing a lot of things with her to try to create a new relationship for us. So she's 12 now. This was when she was 8-ish, 8, 9. Anyway, but, so, 2 things happened. My daughter and our relationship really tanked because I started getting quite sick, and I got to the point where I really had to deal with a lot of the issues that had just been laying below the surface. Kind of like all these sticks got buried, okay? Now here's where the interesting parallel comes into play. This last year, because I was preparing myself to leave, to go to paradise, to just say, you know what, I've gone as far as I can with my situation here and my family. I'm leaving. And I didn't water my garden. I mean, it's not like I have a lot back here. I was trying to create a little forest garden. So I have, you know, some peach trees, apple trees, some plum trees. The other perennial plants I planted never really took off because I never was able to take care of them. Okay? So, this last spring though, because I kept watering my trees and stuff, just because I didn't want them to die, but I kept hoping one of these days this hugelkultur thing was going to do what it said it was supposed to do. I buried a lot of wood in the ground, you know. Well, this last spring, it matured. I mean, it took like 3 years for it to decompose enough to start to really hold in the moisture. And I was shocked that I didn't water my trees through the entire summer, and they were producing fruit. My grapes were producing fruit, the peaches, the apples, the plums. You know, they were small trees, but they all produced some fruit, and that was without me watering them. Okay, so when I came back from paradise, I started looking at this, realizing, it finally occurred to me once I came back, and I'm here in the middle of winter, and I'm looking at my garden. And I'm feeling sad because, you know, I came from the southern hemisphere, and I came from summer right back into winter, you know, because it came in solstice. And I realized what had happened with all of those trees, that they were able to sustain themselves finally. And I'm looking around at the rest of my garden, and there's this deep longing within me. And I'm like, I miss I miss all you guys. Right before I left, I actually started crying. I'm like, what is going on? I thought I wanted to leave all this, but now I'm feeling these feelings of, I don't want to leave. But I have to leave. So I realized I was actually thankful that I came back. I'm looking around at all my messes. And I'm actually kind of, I'm no longer in this state of judgment and wanting to run away from it. And I'm starting to actually be thankful that they're there. And the odder thing was that I was starting to become thankful that I was here. That I wasn't someplace else. I didn't just run away to go try to take care of something or to try to live a new life and ignore the one that I had created. No, I was coming back here and I was here to take care of these things. So these frogs here are reminding me tonight, as I'm sitting here in this wild little garden of mine that has always been a mirror of me. You know, and I know that it's a work in progress. And I came back, and you probably can't see, it's getting dark. I put all these cardboard things around, just started throwing leaves, sticks, cardboard, you know, lawn clippings, whatever I could find in the middle of winter. I was just, you know, starting to really do some cleaning up. And so I started creating these beds. I was like, if those were so successful, I'm going to create taller ones now over what I had already created. Basically, I'm throwing a bunch of material on top of what I already created. So all that can start to decompose, and I can actually start to build the garden beds that I want to have. And so this whole garden is a mirror of me. It's a mirror of my development. It's my wild garden to represent my wild self emerging. And how my wild self doesn't need somebody else to sustain her. Ultimately, she just needs to mature enough to be able to sustain herself. So kind of that, I guess, that is the message coming to me through this twin flame thing. This brokenness. And how I made the statement that we're actually probably better off separate. You know, because of all the growth and development that's occurred in me because of the separation. Because of all the things about myself I've had to face. And so, we're, you know, just past, you know, we're in the middle of May now. And, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, but where I was hoping to go with all of this is 4 years ago when I went to church. I was starting to do a lot of things with homeschooling of my daughter. And I just, you know, I was like, I'm going to push myself out there. I'm just going to go do a lot of stuff. And I don't like talking with people, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this work. And now those feelings are finally coming back. Those feelings of wanting to actually create something with her, to rebuild, realizing it's not hopeless. Realizing, I mean, I just needed a little bit of separation, and I still do need to maintain some healthy boundaries. Because it's like in most of our human relationships, we create very codependent, unhealthy relationships. And that is what happened, and I'm not going to lie about that. But I actually do have some hope now. There's this hope kindling in me as I'm listening to these frogs tonight, and I'm looking around at the little bit of progress I have managed to make when I'm in this garden, when I'm feeling actually okay. And looking forward to all the things I want to do this year. And for the first time in many years, my daughter is coming back into my thoughts of, I don't want to run away. Even this entire time of everything that happened with this breakup, I still held on to thoughts of I wanted to leave the country. And for the first time ever, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be with my twin there. If it means that I have to give up all the progress I have made here. Yes, this has been a struggle. There has, you know, I mean, I have faced some really terrible, dark things about myself. I have created some really dark circumstances in my life here. But I finally realized today that this is my paradise. It just doesn't quite look like it yet, but it'll get there. And soon this will mirror me. And when I have finally grown to the potential of this place, I will be moved into another place. It's kind of like with my job. I went through a season there, albeit 2 months, but it was the season I was supposed to be there and supposed to learn all the things I learned. I'll be figuring out exactly what I learned there. But it's the same here. And it's the same with anywhere where you try to apply the law of attraction. When you actually just buckle down and do the things that you know you need to do, learn the things that you need to learn, instead of constantly trying to run away from your problems, you actually walk into them, then you're going to find that you're going to start to rapidly shift and change, and circumstances around you are going to change. So I know that this place, this house, this paradise, while it's not exactly the paradise I'm looking for, because I have my dreams of this big log cabin on an ocean, or not on an ocean, I mean, on a lake, a big lake, I guess. You know, a place out of the city. But for now, this is my reality. And I'm not going to run from this reality. I'm going to make this into my paradise in the best way that I can, by learning everything that I have set out in whatever planning I did before I came here, or whatever my selves have devised since I've been here. But I'm going to learn the lessons I need to learn. So I just wanted to let you know, and hopefully you guys can hear the little froggies behind me. Love you all, and I'll talk to you later. And you can't really see me now, it's spooky, we're telling spooky stories. Bye!